Illinois Stories is brought to you by the Corporation for Public Broadcasting and by the support of viewers like you. Thank you.
Hello, welcome to Illinois Stories. I'm Mark McDonald in Henderson Street at the old Mount Zion Elementary School, which was for years vacant until 3.5 years ago, when two ambitious area men bought this school and turned it into the Heroic Age Art Center and Studios. What a tour it is. Eric, Hector, it doesn't take long to realize when you walk in this building that you're not in school anymore.
No doubt.
You've entered a new world, and it's wonderful because it actually is. It's a sort of an artist's. You can feel the art. It's just seeped in art when you walk in here, because not only Heroic Age Studios is here, but you've got 10 or 12 tenants that are also practicing all kind of different kinds of art here.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, this is what we call the Heroic Age Art Center, which is kind of a spin-off of Heroic Age. Heroic Age is like the anchor store, if you will, for the Heroic Age Art Center, and the Heroic Age Art Center is a collective of artists. Heroic Age does film, so what we thought would be great when we bought the school was to be able to not only put our business here and use the gymnasium to build sets and things, but to find a bunch of artists, because film is the collective of all the arts. We need photographers, we need sculptors, we need hair and makeup. So having all those people here, they can all work together on projects, and we can all work together to do artistic outreach and to have shows and parties and things. You know.
During this program, I'm going to ask you and your partner to show us through. And what we're going to do first is look at these various artists and what they're doing here on the main floor of the school. But you mentioned it. What you've also done here is you've used the gymnasium and the larger areas for this to make your film studio out of. And it's a production house is what it is. And you've got you're a one-stop shop for production here, and you're actually making a movie as we speak. So you're going to take us down into the old gymnasium and show us your movie set as well, which is really, really interesting.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, definitely. I mean, and that was one of the things that allowed us to find the school, which was great. We were looking for a place that had something big enough that would allow us to film movies, you know, to build sets. And having that, but then having all these classrooms upstairs, it was just kind of a natural fit.
Yeah. Well, okay, we'll start by taking a tour of this floor. So
sure.
Show us here first.
Yeah, definitely. One of our first renters who really believed in the property, the project, you know, before it started, was Laura Webb Photography. Laura is a photographer. She does all sorts of amazing work. She really took her room, and turned it into something special.
Oh, it's beautiful. Yeah. It's bright and cheery and clean. And so she's out shooting right now, I assume. She's not in here. She must be shooting.
And she will do shoots in here. You can come in and do glamour photography. She's got all the dresses set up. You can shoot in here. She'll also go out for shoots. And then she has a whole rack system. You can come in and look and choose photographs. It's, you know, she does a really fantastic job. And really embrace the idea of each one of these rooms, the artist makes their own.
Okay, let's go head back this way. We've just seen photography. We've got music represented in here as well.
Yep. This is
after you.
In here, we can peek in. This is Blue Rock Record. Jeff Quick, the mastermind behind it. They're doing some amazing stuff. You can tell them a little bit about what you do, Jeff. We look around.
If you don't mind, Eric, you go ahead since you've got the microphone.
Oh,
but
yeah.
It looks like they're prepared not for recording, but for. Are they prepared for recording?
Oh, yeah. Jeff's got a full recording set up. He writes music, he produces music, he records music for other artists. So if you need to have some music recorded, if you've got a band or you're putting together a CD, Blue Rock Record is a full-service music production company.
Wow. It looks like they've really got an investment here, and the place is really attractive, too.
Yeah, he did an amazing job with the studio area. Yeah. I mean, you can see with the different things we've looked at how the artists really come in and they make these spaces their own, and that's what it's all about.
They do. And that's not, it's good to have a space like that, and you can allow them the freedom to do that. You know, because you know how artists are.
Yeah. Thanks, Jeff.
Okay, let's go down the hall. Thank you.
And in the hallways here, what we do is these are galleries. So this is what we call the small gallery, but it all has work from either local artists that have done different things with the Art Center or Art Center artists. So as we go through the halls, you'll see work from all the different places we're visiting.
Yeah. This is L&L Studio. What do they do?
L&L Studio, it's a mother-daughter. The L&L is Laura and Lindsay. Laura and Lindsay together, Laura does stained glass painted bottles that have a faux stained glass, which are really beautiful. Lindsay does full handcrafted jewelry. She can make anything, any kind of jewelry you want, from precious metals down to found objects that she uses. They also do clothing and different things, repurposed items. They just make art out of everything. They're very, very creative people.
It's interesting. Yeah, you've got it's almost like a gallery in here. Your hallway is a gallery. Okay, we don't need the restrooms for anything, at least not yet.
No doubt. And now you're coming out into the school is actually, half of it was built in the 1930s, the other half in the 1950s. The half we were in was the 1930s half. This is now the 1950s, so it opens up into a little different architecture. We've got a larger gallery section in here. This shows some of the things we started out with. The reason we're called Heroic Age Studios is our first big client was Marvel. From there we worked with DC and things, and we developed some colorizing systems, and this shows CMYK, the cyan, magenta, yellow, black color system that we're kind of known for.
And then the finished product here.
Yep.
You mentioned Marvel comics, and all comics used to look very grainy.
Yeah, they look dotty, like a Roy Lichtenstein painting,
yeah,
you know?
Yeah.
And now they're all painted because they're all done in Photoshop. And we were the first people ever to use Photoshop to color a monthly Marvel comic. I did my internship there when I was at Millikan. And we kind of snuck this through on Doctor Strange number 70, you know, and now all comics are colored in Photoshop.
So you're a pioneer.
We try, and we kept the name Heroic Age because of that, you know.
Yeah.
And this shows our businesses. We've got Heroic Age Studios, which is our media production, our movies, commercial, corporate video. Here's the Art Center, Heroic Age Art Center with all the collective studio spaces. And then we even do consumer video if you just want DVDs made out of your old movies and things like that, or just event video.
Yeah. I can tell that your energy and your passion right now, you and Tim both, your partner, is in this film that you're making, and it's going to be very interesting to get a tour of that. But let's go in here next, because this is an interesting space. You partner with
Elysian Software. Elysian Software. They have some very interesting software applications for medicine, but they're also pioneers and people who are patrons of the arts. So we work together, we help them with their outreach and different things, but we share an office space so that they can be here interacting with us, having an office space, and then we kind of share this area with them.
Yeah, this must much more like a business space than a creative space.
Yeah, this is where we have meetings and different things
it's
like
beautiful.
that.
It's beautiful. It works, doesn't it?
Thank you.
Yeah, works. Okay, that's your office. We don't need to go in there just yet, but that's where you and Tim and your assistants hang out. And then there's also a dance studio, and we'll just let the camera go and take a gander here, because this is going to be moving, but you also have a dance studio and space for...
Yep, Restoration Dance Arts. They do
training.
dance, tumbling, ballet. They're moving to one of our larger spaces here pretty soon.
Okay, Eric, and we've gone further down here. We're almost through your tenants here, but you've got a Little People's Salon. What do they call it? The Little Salon?
Yeah, the Little Salon.
And she specializes in cutting hair for kids.
No, just she cuts hair for everyone, but she has a yearly event called Cuts for Kids, where right as the kids are going to school, they bring them all in, and community sponsors have chipped in, and she gives all of them backpacks for the first day of school and gives them their first day of school haircuts.
That's really nice. She's working, as we can see through the window here, she's working on, it looks like a child. Maybe it's just a small woman, but it looks like she's working on a child.
Yeah, they do, and they do scented oil classes that they teach out of there. They do paintings. They have a pedicure salon. So this ties in really well with film projects, because if you need somebody to come up and get full hair and makeup, there's full hair and makeup for you.
And now here's a room that's interesting, because you're in the process of restoring this, or actually renovating this completely. And let's go on in there and take it, because this is a fascinating story of what you're trying to do here. This room is on many levels, as you can see. And you pick it up from there, because what I would call this a special events theater.
Yeah.
But I don't know what you call it. What do you call it?
Yeah, we call it a theater and VR experience room. And Liaison...
VR is virtual reality,
Virtual reality, yeah.
Okay.
Liaison Home Automation has partnered with us to bring this room to the Art Center and to bring the VR equipment. But they're also bringing in a 4K screen, be 15 foot wide, Dolby Atmos surround, courtesy of Liaison, and we'll have 2 virtual reality units here. You can use one and get a wide virtual reality, or 2, but there'll be a row of movie theater seats here, there, and there, and people can sit and see on a 15-foot screen in Dolby surround sound what the people in virtual reality are experiencing. but you can use it.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean,
okay.
there will be no place like this. You know, not only will you be able to do that, but you could, like you said, you could rent it for an evening of movies. You can rent it for a get-together, for a speaking place. It's all going to be made up with columns like an old movie theater. But it also ties into our other business and lets us do dailies for our movies here. Lets us show our clients, if we do like a corporate video or a television commercial, you can bring them in and show them. It also will be one of the only places where you can completely colorize a film, completely sound mix a film on a huge screen, just like they do with, you know, regular motion pictures.
Yeah. Well, it'll be great for your movie making business, and like you say, it'd be a nice side business too, because the community could use it, and it would be terrific for them.
Definitely, and especially with that VR, people are loving that.
You know, I want to experience that sometime. I've never tried it. And maybe you can help me experience that today. I'd like to see what that's like.
Definitely, we'll strap a HTC Vive on you.
Scare the heck out of me. Okay, we've come to the end of the building, but I wanted to stop here because you've got a huge prop here that you use every room, and this sort of segues into our next part of the program, which is your movie set.
Yeah, definitely. He is from an event we do every year. This year it's October 14th, called Art of Fear. We bring in people from different television and movies. We bring in people from The Walking Dead, from the TV show Face Off, where they do the makeup, and they're working with us on some of these movie projects. So he kind of is a little party segue into what you guys will be seeing down in the bottom half of the studio.
Okay. Well, thank you.
Thank you.
Well, Tim Lynn, the old sign above the room says Cafeteria, and this is where the school cafeteria and gym was, and what you and Eric have turned into your movie set.
Correct. This is our big
You
sound
needed
stage.
a huge space, didn't you?
We did. We did.
That's why a school worked out so well for you guys.
Yep. It seemed like a logical choice. We had looked around at different things. We'd even talked about building a Morton building or something of that nature. Eric came across this and had the vision. We went for it.
Yeah, yeah. Well, listen, take us into the movie set. will
Sure,
you?
sure.
You go first.
Yep.
You go first.
Come on in.
Now, we haven't talked about the movie yet, but first I like the wow factor of walking into this old cafeteria and seeing this log cabin. You did a little research to find out which log cabin you wanted to recreate too, didn't you?
Yeah, we're shooting a horror movie, and we checked out in New Salem, and we could shoot the exteriors in New Salem, but we needed more control over the environment, so we decided to build the interior of that log cabin to spec in our soundstage so that we would have complete control over everything we needed to do. So this is it.
Yeah, so where'd you get the old wood?
The old wood actually came from a movie set we shot about 10 years ago. And since it's set outside in a western town, it was weathered perfect for our needs. The director of that film was kind enough to tell us if we would come out and tear it down, we could have it. So that's where we started.
Yeah. Now, but it didn't have everything you wanted. You had to create some of this.
Correct.
I know this old wood looks great, but if you look up here, you'll see that you also had hewn logs, rounded logs. You didn't have those, did you?
No, we didn't have those, and Brett is pretty good at sculpting foam and sort of shepherded me along on how to help facilitate that. And so basically we built this frame out of timber, wood, regular lumber.
Yeah.
Made it sturdy enough. It's reinforced with chain and things of that nature. Probably holds 600-800 pounds. I did pull-ups from it after we got it put together.
Just to make sure it wasn't coming down. Huh?
Yeah, and then we sculpted it, painted a base coat on it, and then did all of our touch-ups to make it look like the wooden logs, which helped us in a lot of ways. The weight was a big issue. To make that out of real timber would have weighed so much, it probably would have pushed, these set walls, which are freestanding walls for the most part, over.
Right. Yeah, okay, so I think this is some of the foam right here.
Yeah.
And this is interesting because this doesn't weigh a thing.
No.
And what you did was for those round logs, and you can see this bends, it's very flexible, it doesn't weigh anything, but it looks just like wood. And if you take a wheel, like a little grinding wheel to those, you can round them off and make them look just like a round log.
Yep, that's how we got the grain
And you
in
paint
there.
it.
And then we rolled over
There's
it
the back.
rolled over our base coat and then started to fill in the highlights.
I brought a little tool out here that you showed me. And I think you put this on a drill, right?
Yeah, we put this on a drill, and as if you look at it, you can see as it spins, it eats into these areas and created,
Isn't that fascinating?
this grain.
And then the rounding part is done just by hand, I guess, with a razor blade or something, right? Where you just shave off the edges.
Right, exactly. And I can get that. It's a hot knife, in essence. I can get that for you.
Okay. Well, bring it on in here because we're going to stay in this room for a little bit.
So what we did is you plug this in, it heats it up, and then it acts just like a knife. And that allowed us to get the fine detail work. The rest of that, to be honest with you, we used grinders, just hand grinders, and ground that down. You know, we had pink snow in here for a week or so.
You're building a fireplace, and what's interesting here, there was no fireplace in here, but you're going to have a real live fire in there, and what you've done is you put in a firebox, huh?
Yeah, yeah, and what we did is we built that. It's all fireproofed. Fireproof drywall is on there now. We are sculpting the rocks out of foam. Those will be fireproof as well.
And you'll paint those, of course, and they'll blend. They'll look just like river rock or whatever a fireplace would have been built out of.
And we have, we'll have a gas log in there. The gas, of course, will be run out the back. It vents out the top using a vent-free log. Don't want to get asphyxiated, and our plan is for it to not burn down either.
That's a good plan. Okay, and there's another room to this cabin.
Yeah. So this was like our main living area that we were just in.
This is huge.
And then when you come in here, this is the bedroom, which will also have, we haven't finished it yet, but this is the second fireplace that will be in here. Then, of course, the bed, the window, those kinds of things. Really what we have left at this point is that fireplace, mortaring these joints, putting in the wood floor, and then we're good to go.
Now, you have to think ahead when you're building a movie set, because once you're finished with this scene, you're going to need another set. Right?
Exactly.
So what you've done here is ingenious. You've planned ahead so you can lay this down and put another scene right in here, right?
Yeah, what will happen is this wall treatment will get stripped off. All these walls are what we call wild walls. So by moving some things at the top and some brackets in the back, these walls can move out. So we'll lose this middle wall. A half wall comes in for part of this for the second scene. These boards will all come off. They'll get run through table saw, cut down flat, and then of course they'll get turned and run vertical as opposed to horizontal for the second set. Which really the rest of the movie takes place in, with the exception of exteriors, in this.
When will you start shooting?
We're hoping to start shooting yet this fall. Then we can take advantage. Our exteriors will have all that fall color that the script actually calls for.
Okay. And since it's a horror movie and your market would probably be around Halloween, you would want to have it ready for the Halloween of 19. Or let's
18.
Of 18, right.
Yeah.
So a year from now. Yeah, okay. And we'll talk more about the movie as we go along, because I don't want to give away too much about it, but it's fascinating the way you guys have gotten the public involved in becoming part of this whole project, and we'll save that for another moment, okay?
Sure, sure.
But we're finished in this room, but what I'd like to do is, since this big space works so well, you guys are a full-service movie company, so you've got a grip truck, you've got lights, you've got cameras, you've got tripods, you've got audio equipment, you've got everything you need to shoot. So take us into that room, okay?
Sure, sure. We can come into to the inner bowels of the studio, so to speak.
Tim, you need a lot of storage space, don't you?
Yeah, we.
I mean, you got a lot of stuff, like I said, lights and everything, and you're a full grip outfit, so all of this stuff has a use. It doesn't look like you have it in the kind of order you'd like to have it in, but you know where everything is, don't you?
I do. The construction phase has put a bit of a damper on things as we move it, but it is all pretty organized. Yeah. You know, and this is an 18,000 square foot facility, so we do have a lot of space to do.
That's been a big improvement, too, in the last 3 years since you moved in here, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Show us this camera, because we keep hearing about this movie camera. This is what's called a Red Dragon, right?
Yeah, this is the Red Epic Dragon. And this is what we primarily shoot on. This is basically the brain to that. Then, of course, you have the lens, map box, all the
Would you
things
show us that? Can you take the lens cover off?
Yeah.
So, and this is state-of-the-art, isn't it? This is digital cinematic stuff.
It is. And as you can tell, the red tint, hence the red sensor. So, yeah, this is...
And then you can put a variety of lenses on this as well to make, so you get whatever depth of field you want, I guess.
Yeah, absolutely. I primarily shoot with prime lenses, which we also own. So... This is about the size of those lenses, as you can tell. It's a pretty large.
It's heavy too, isn't it?
Pretty large piece of glass. Yeah, it's somewhat heavy, and it's a PL mount, so you know it uses the same thing they use in film cameras, so you actually get that exact same look and feel. You know, it's a little more difficult with prime lenses because it is a set focal length. So you adjust your focus and whatever, but it is that depth is what it is. So you know, it doesn't track as well. You know, it's like a zoom lens. So you really have to have an assistant camera operator and kind of
Yeah.
plan it out.
Yeah. Does this help? A lot of the stuff you guys are going to be incorporating into your film are computer-generated images as well. So does this help you make the transition from, like if you were shooting film, does this make it easier to make that transition from using computer-generated images?
Well, yeah, definitely. We'll probably shoot this particular film in 6K, and that'll give us the latitude and the pixels to play with when we're doing our compositing and things of that nature, as well as to push those saturated colors. And since this is a horror film, there'll be a lot of noir in there, and that'll give us the ability to lift those blacks without them breaking up and looking very noisy to us.
Yeah.
So.
Well, listen, I want to hear more about this film, so let's go upstairs and we'll get Eric together. We'll get together with Eric and we'll hear more about this, okay?
Absolutely.
Thank you. Eric, we've been talking about this film, but we haven't named it. We haven't said the name of it. Is there a reason?
The reason we haven't named it yet is because the Frightful 5000 will get to name it. We're looking for 5,000 horror film fans to join Frightful 5000. It's a club kind of thing. It allows them every year to participate in the making of this film. So they get to name the film, they get to have their names in the credits, their pictures will become a photo mosaic, which is the actual movie poster for the film, and then when the film is done, they will get to come to the film, watch it, and vote on the film we make next. They also vote on the name of the film each year.
Okay. So this one, do you have a prospective name for this?
Yeah. The working title for this is Trick and Treats.
Trick and Treats. Okay, and it's the fear. What's the 5,000?
The Frightful
5000.
5000.
Okay, those are the people who, and it costs them what, $60 a year to be members.
Yep, and you only have to join for 1 year, but
Yeah.
it's $60 a year to be a member.
Help name the movie, and then maybe have some input into what you make next year.
Yep, it's people have been making films so many years that people are like, I don't want to see that film. Well, now you choose the films you want to see.
Now you're the writer, producer. And you show us some of the storyboards that you started this with, and I picked these because they show the cabin that we were in your studio. So show us some of the artwork.
Yeah, this shows here. If you guys were downstairs in the cabin, here's what the fireplace will eventually become, and there's going to be this young lady who's evil is kind of tied up here, and this is her husband Peter from Peter Pumpkin Eater, and it goes down here like this, shows her, and then energy starts to come out of her eyes, and these are just set up to give an idea of where special effects people will put the energy. Then the energy wraps around the ropes that are holding her, and it loosens up her hands, and then she falls to the ground here, see? Okay. So you've got her, she drops to the ground, the energy's rolling around her, and she approaches him.
Okay, so and this will all be shot in the studio by Tim,
Yep.
right? Okay, with the camera he showed us.
Yep.
And the yellow marks the special effects, at which time then you have a special effects company that puts those in where you need them, and show us kind of an example of what that would look like.
This gives you an idea of how those effects go in. These are just a 2D version of these, but this is what's called a 2D test. So you can see the test footage of how the energy is going to wrap and spin around things, but actually what it will do in our real-time ones is that it will go around things. It'll move her hair,
3D.
it'll move things in 3D.
And it'll loosen the ropes around her wrist and that kind of thing. Huh?
Exactly.
Okay.
And this is just to show, we've got 4 or 5 different options on this. We're just trying to pick which kind of embers we like, how snaky the movement is, that kind of stuff.
And that pumpkin looks remarkably like this guy right here.
Yeah, this is Trick. He's the main pumpkin from it's basically Peter Pumpkin Eater had a wife and couldn't keep her, so he put her in a pumpkin shell, and there he kept her very well. The trick is figuring out how many pieces you have to cut your wife into before she'd fit in a pumpkin, and his name is Trick. So this is Trick. He's a hand sculpted. I sculpted him, but he's too primitive to use in a film, especially with the high-end cameras.
Yeah.
So we're taking this, combined with our virtual reality objects, to make, this is just our first 3D test print, but we'll be 3D printing Trick out of a lot of different materials. So we can print him out of light materials, so he's easy to move. We can print him out of crushable materials, but this is just a very rough version. He's our first try.
Yeah.
But we'll have him 10 times the detail of these.
I see.
And you'll be able to make multiple ones. Then sometimes in people's heads he screams or he does an effect. When that happens, then the actual pumpkin that the actor is holding will be exactly like the pumpkin for the 3D, because we're feeding all of this into here. So you won't know when he's going to scream or wink or do something funny, because he's built off the same thing.
Fascinating. The whole process is fascinating. But you still have to make the movie set And that's the part that I think people can really appreciate, because a lot of people can't appreciate the computer-generated stuff, but they know what it takes to build a movie set. You've got to build it.
Yep, and that's the thing we want to do. We want to integrate. Some movies rely too much on computer-generated effects. Some movies, don't have the budget for them. What we want to do is combine both, and I think that's when a movie's really at its best. Because when he converts to this pumpkin, he starts out much larger, crushes down into this. We're going to do 3D effects, but we're also going to do practical effects. Like these vines are going to grow out of them. We're going to do an old school reverse where you cut holes for the vines and then you pull them through. Then you run the film backwards so it looks like the vines will grow out and go and curl around. But then he'll also crush down using the computer, and we'll cut back and forth from computer rendered effects to practical effects. And that's when you get things that just seem real. You know?
Well, thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Tell me what I'm looking for.
You are looking for zombies that are coming after you in this sewer. Make sure to turn all directions because they can come at you from any possible angle.
I think I see one.
There's one, yep. Only shoot them in the head because zombies don't die unless you shoot them in the head.
But this is, I guess I'm missing his head.
Now notice, you can walk anywhere you want. Oh wow, they're coming in waves this time. A little higher. Ooh, good one, good shot. Turn around, he's right behind you. Turn around, oh my God, shoot him, good job.
Whoa, he got blood all over me.
2 with 1 shot, that was pretty awesome. Got his arm, got it.
Okay,
yep.
boy, they come from everywhere.
There's probably one behind you now, look around.
There's
two of them coming down the storm drain.
My gun's not working.
Reload, you gotta press the reload button.
I think I have to close the program now because my gun stopped working.
Punch him in the face, you can punch him right in the head.
It all turned red, I'm dead.
Nope, he's still going, they're just clawing at you.
Oh my goodness.
Wow.
What an experience.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Oh, thank you. You did great.
That
double shot
keep
was
that
awesome.
on. Okay, I'll just leave that on for me, okay? Yeah,
sure.
I'll just take that. Woo! Wow. That's what they call virtual reality. Zombies from every place coming down the storm drain. The last one got me. This game is available here at the old school in Mount Zion, along with that's Heroic Age Studios and Heroic Age Art Center. And some groups like to come here and use the virtual reality as a party, to have a party. Keep in mind that they start shooting the movie Trick and Treats, I think is the name of it, or the prospective name of it, in October. And of course, please come down and patronize the artists who have their shops in here as well. With another Illinois story in Mount Zion, I'm Mark McDonald. Thanks for watching.
Illinois Stories is brought to you by the Corporation for Public Broadcasting and by the support of viewers like you. Thank you. For a DVD copy of the program you've just seen, send $19.95 to Network Knowledge, P.O. Box 6248, Springfield, Illinois 62708. Be sure to include the program name, subject, and when the program aired. You can also order with your credit card by calling 800-232-3605.